want to tell you guys an interesting story. Earlier today, I had to take my car in for an emissions test. Now, usually this is a run-of-the-mill test. There's really not much to be said about this. But I was on the hunt for a good shop. Somebody recommended them to me, and I took my car over to them. And they're deep in the Bronx. They're like White Plains Road deep, so pretty deep there. Never been before. And it was a very rundown shop. There was a sign that was very faded, and it was located underneath a train. So there's like the overhead train, and the whole area is like very depressed, very like closed off and whatever. But I went there anyway, and I met the owner, and I was the only customer that showed up. And I pulled my car in, and it's this older guy, and he was telling me while he was running the test on my car, he was telling me about his story. And this is very interesting because it just shows you how important it is to pick something and to stick with it. So his dad was born in like the 1880s, I think he said. And him and his family owned almost that entire block. And his dad was like a blacksmith because back in the day they had horses. So they did horseshoes and different things like that. And the next door building was actually their stable. And that's where they actually did the work for the blacksmithing. And then this guy who was 84 years old, he was running this shop, and he opened his shop up in like 1956. So safe to say he's been there a very long time servicing that area in a very specific niche. All right, he just enjoyed working on cars. That's how he got into it, and that's how he ended up where he is today. Same place, he's doing the same thing, but he's doing what he enjoys and what he loves. And you can see the family dynamic of that area because they went through owning the whole block and having multiple businesses on that block, and it just kind of grew and took off from there. And that's what today's video is about, is figuring out what it is that you can do, finding your niche, what it is that interests you, and how you could actually turn that into a micro SaaS. So let's dive into the computer. I'll show you guys my screen here. So I just came up with a few notes here, but just to get you guys started, if you want to find a niche, you want to figure out what to do, you're unsure and you're indecisive, well then do something that you know intimately well. That's the best advice I can give you. Something that you can help people with that is also of interest to you. So let me tell you another story. Back in 8th grade, I was doing horribly in school. I never did that well in school, and I found the whole school situation to be very boring. I just couldn't get into it, and I had these teachers making me memorize things, and I didn't really understand the importance of retaining this information, and I just let it go right by me, and I just couldn't get into it. But it was between 7th and 8th grade that we had a newer computer teacher, and we had a computer lab. They had converted one of the old classrooms into a full lab. So they took over this huge space. They filled it with computers because back in the year 1999, 2000, that was the internet bubble. That was when the internet really started to take off. And I remember going to the lab on my lunch break because it was just an interesting place to be. I enjoyed computers. I enjoyed learning about the hardware, the software, how it all worked together. And that is how I spent a lot of my lunchtime, was basically helping out, moving machines, installing software, and just understanding how this stuff worked. And that really stuck with me because I took that knowledge and that interest with me till today. It led me to buying my first computer, saving up my own money to buy my first machine. Bought a couple machines after that, bought a web server, started playing around with server software like Windows Server, stuff like that. Got me into the IT realm. And honestly, when I was out job hunting, it landed me so many jobs, even jobs that had nothing to do with computers. Just having that knowledge and the ability to help people troubleshoot is really what got me very far. A lot of people find computer stuff to be very tedious and very troublesome, and they don't want to read the manuals and the data and all this stuff. And then I can come in, I just get it, I understand it, and I'm pretty savvy with it. I can work and focus really well on something and just make it work eventually. And that was my strength. And I used that strength as leverage for all the jobs that I've gotten since and in my current job right now. And I want you guys to start thinking that way. Think about what it is that you do in your regular life that you don't pay attention to. Maybe you're into basketball or football, sports in general. Maybe you're really into the stats that have to do with it. Do you know that there's an entire world of stats out there where people are just looking this stuff up, where they're trying to figure out, look at this, baseballreference.com, we'll just pull it up, right? This is just a website that's completely dedicated to stats. Now, I don't know anything about baseball other than I like to go to a game once in a while. I don't watch it on TV. I don't follow it. I don't know what an RBI is, but that doesn't matter, because if you were into this, you would know all that stuff. And if I was an interested party trying to learn more about baseball, I might come across your website or your content where you actually explain what that is to me, right? Like I could literally, Reserve Bank of India, I don't think so, RBI baseball, right? I know it's a stat. Run batted in. Like, I don't know what that means, but these sites have the information on it, and these sites are what teach the internet how to do things. So like if that's something that you're into, you can start doing this. Now I want to show you guys something here. We'll go on SimilarWeb and let's just see if we can guesstimate how much traffic this site is getting. Let's go here, pop that in. Okay, total visits for August, 23 million people. So safe to say, this is a website that gets a lot of traffic, okay? It's just baseball stats. So if you're interested in that, you could do something like that too. You could do it for football. You could do it, tons of ideas, okay? And if you're gonna do a SaaS product with it, well, a SaaS is really software as a service, okay? So if you think about it that way, it's not so much that it's this huge service that you need to build. It's more that you're giving people a method of basically organizing information, and maybe instead of just being a website where it's more static data, you're giving them a dynamic interface. So maybe it's something that, pulls that together. And what I mean by that is, let's just see, you can log in here, right? You could actually create an account, StatHead, whatever this is. And look, they have stats for all these different things up here, right? This is a SaaS product. This is software as a service, because what it offers you is access to the most complete sports database on the internet. Okay, it's affordable. They have a free tier, clue, $9 a month. And then you get this other stuff, and they support it with ads, or you're paid $9 a month, okay? This is a SaaS product. I didn't do this research ahead of time. I just literally typed this in with you guys here. So I just want to show you guys that a micro SaaS can be built very simply, just with a very simple idea. They're pulling in stats. They're hooking up to different data sources and whatnot, but you can do this yourself. I actually came up with a bunch of SaaS ideas here, which I'll give you guys this list. If you want to access to it, you could have access to it for free. But just look at some of the ideas here. Golf handicap analyzer. People are always trying to improve their golf swing. Maybe you build something that actually helps them with this, right? We could do it with sports. We could do it with food, wine pairing, recipe cost estimators, barbecue smoke logs. Okay, podcast SEO optimizer. There's a lot of money in SEO optimization. People spend tons of money trying to get their stuff ranked. You could have a service that does that for podcasts. Side hustle and tax estimator, lawn care schedule planner. Hey, maybe it automatically sends email notifications out to people. Maybe it offers a forum in there so that people can share lawn cutting tips and grass guides and how often they feed their lawn or whatever it is that people do with their lawns. Water usage loggers. This is all stuff that you guys can do. And I'll show you guys how easy it is. I'm going to pull up bolt.new. This is a paid service that I don't use enough of, but I just want to show you guys, if you wanted to make, let's say, a water usage logger, okay? I want to create a water usage logger for lawn care enthusiasts, and I need it to have other helpful tabs in it as well. And what's great about a software like this is it builds out all the files. There's many files that usually are generated. We'll see here as they're actually created. Once it starts working, we'll see it in motion. But you can add features to this. You can take away features with this. You can add in a database that people can log in. You can integrate it with Stripe. So once this frees up here, there's actually a method of integrating Stripe so you could get paid, databasing so you can have the logins. You can make this stuff do some really cool stuff. And it takes, is it going to be one prompt and we have ourselves a perfect micro SasS that we could sell for $30 a day? No, obviously not. What you want to do is you want to make a good starter product. Just make sure it's really good at doing one thing and then improve on it consistently. You have to keep making improvements on it and then offer it up for free. This is one of the biggest things that I see on the Reddit forums where people are trying to do micro SasS. They're charging big money right out the gate. They'll get an explosion of growth because they'll post their product everywhere. People will sign up for it. And then what happens is people realize that it's actual garbage and they all start unsubscribing. And then you end up with 0 users or barely any users. And people are on that forum all the time complaining about that. They say, I had explosive growth. Now I lost everybody. What do I do? And really the answer has always been, make a good product. Make something that people need and get feedback on it and make improvements. If you're always making improvements to it, people will want to use it, but it has to be functional and it has to do a good thing. It has to be worthy of your own money. You want to find something with breakage. Now, this is really going to set the bar. This is going to be the difference between a product that is worth money and a product that is worth nothing at all. Finding breakage. Now, what is breakage? I've talked about it before, but breakage is basically the loss of money in a business. So if you can think of it like this, let's just do breakage here at the top, okay? Breakage is literally lost money in some way, shape, or form. So it could be, let's say if you run a retail store, it could be theft. Somebody walks out with a pair of shoes, you have to write that as a loss. That means that you paid for the shoes were stolen, you can't sell the shoes anymore, now you're out $100 or whatever it is, okay? That is breakage. Now, what's the solution to breakage? Well, the solution could be a police force, right? It could be an alarm. It could be a metal detector, right? It could be a security guard, somebody that's going to stand there and actually monitor the door and make sure that people aren't walking out with unpaid goods, right? Now, think about it in terms of breakage for a business with a digital need, okay? There's a company out there, it's very well known, it's called Hyros, and what they do is they do ad tracking, okay? Now, what's ad tracking? What is that? Basically what it is people will pay for an ad, the ad sends traffic to the website, and then they make money, right? What they do is they deal with the breakage of lost marketing dollars. So if you spend money on an ad, that money, once you spend on the ad, all of that goes right out the door. So if nobody buys anything, you have a loss. And that could be, as much as you're spending on your ad, that could be a complete and utter loss. Or you run an ad, you make a bunch of money, but you have no idea why your product sold. You don't know where the traffic came from. Maybe you have traffic that comes in from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? Website. We'll just call that like basically SEO. These might be making sales, right? So if you're making money from these and you don't understand where the money's coming from, is it because you spent 10 grand making YouTube videos? Or is it because you ran a Facebook ad? Or is it because you've been working really hard on TikTok? If you can't attribute where the ad money or where that traffic is earning you money, well, then you're basically susceptible to spending a lot of money and not even knowing that you have breakage. So a company like Hyros with their ad tracking is really successful because what they're doing is they're saving the customer money. And not only are they saving money, they can actually help you increase your ROI because you're able to then understand where those ads came from. And you could say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to turn off the wrong ad. I'm going to turn off the correct ad to turn off. This ad that I thought was underperforming is actually performing well, etc. And they basically have a perfect market fit because the companies that use this software cannot do without them anymore because they save them money, they earn them money. They're fixing the breakage in their business. So it is literally a perfect business because if they turned off their services, people would be screaming and calling them nonstop. So you want to figure out for your micro SaaS what it is that you can offer to somebody where you're actually helping them in that kind of way. That's where the money is. So you want to find some breakage. I'll just show you guys. Just go to ChatGPT for ideas. It's great for ideas. Tell me the top 5 things a local business, let's do real estate, realtor deals with regarding breakage. And I encourage you guys to try this out on your own. Okay? So they're talking about deals that fall through. Maybe you can create a microservice that helps people with the deals, right? Maybe it's something like a DocuSign where they could put all their documents in there and people can sign their documents, right? Marketing and staging costs. They lose money doing professional photos, videos, 3D tours, flyers, staging a house with furniture and stuff, right? Open houses that never pay back. They might sink a whole bunch of money or owner's money into something like this, then they don't necessarily get that money back when they're staging a home. It depends. Time spent on non-qualified leads. Maybe you can offer a service that literally filters people out. We only want people that make a certain amount of money. And with AI and the public information that's available today, you could put that together in a really crafty way where you're basically pre-qualifying people and making sure that they're not going to waste your time. Commission leakage, operational and transactional breakage. So like administrative overhead, you could use AI to do a lot of stuff. Maybe not everything, not for finances. Chasing signatures, you could use it for follow-up, different things like that. But you can use a tool like this to at least get started, and at least you can start playing around with things. Let's take a look at our Lawn Care Pro here. Offers us a water log thing, right? So we could literally log. Okay, so September 4th, we ran the sprinkler for 60 minutes. Estimated cost, we think it costs about $2, safe entry. Front yard, save, and we can start logging water here, right? If you wanted to do something that's a little more breakage oriented, like we were just discussing, let's say we wanted to do time spent on non-qualified leads, right? Like if we can filter out their leads, then that's something that a realtor would actually pay for, because they're going to say, oh, wow, I don't have to waste time on this anymore, right? Or commission leakage or administrative overhead. I like this because it's pretty cool. All right, so let's make a small service that'll help realtors with time spent on non-qualified leads. Let's do a little more digging here. Show you how this works. How would a micro SaaS help realtors looking at option 3? Instant pre-qualification checker, right? So we could literally just check if people are qualified or not. We could use mortgage APIs. You could pull that data right in. Smart lead scoring and routing, right? So we can use logic to do this. Automated appointment gatekeeper. Okay, cool. What's one thing we can focus on first and do really well with? Automated pre-qualification gatekeeper. Okay, let's see if there's a market for it just by going onto Google. And we'll say, we'll go to Google right here, and we'll say pre-qualified real estate, and look at the autofill. Pre-qualified real estate leads. Definition. What does pre-qualified mean for a house? What do okay. Ads, right? People looking up real estate leads are realtors. 8 best places to buy real estate leads in 2025. Right here. This is where they're looking to buy. Okay. How would I, watch this, there are multiple services that offer leads. How would this be different? Okay, so we're not a lead vendor, we're a lead filter. Okay. Okay. Describe, give me a simple prompt to start building a micro SaaS. Okay, I want to build a micro SaaS for realtors that acts as a lead pre-qualification gatekeeper. Boom. Okay. Now I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff because we don't want it to build the database for time reasons, but I'll just show you guys. Put that in, hit go. We can find breakage. We could help businesses. We could help people with this stuff. Build it, get free users, test it, improve it, and get feedback. This is really, really key, is that you want to make sure that the product works, it works well, and that's why you want to deal with a niche that you know something about. If you're not into real estate, then don't do this. If you're into real estate, then do this. You want to use the product, find the issues with it, and really build it from a place of need. If you can do that, if you can figure out what it is that people need from it, you can do really, really well. So it already came back. I mean, that was super quick. Put in your name, email, finance status, right? Budget range, okay? Buying timeline. Now, if you really wanted to get crafty with this, you can get their existing address, you could get their existing name, and you can start pulling in from different APIs the data and have an AI on the back end that actually analyzes all this stuff and basically determines like these people are qualified, they're not qualified, whatever it is. This is mostly doable through public information. So if you wanted to do that, just check right here, credit score API. Let's just see if there is one. Yeah, Experian, right? Experian's a huge company, Equifax. They have an API. You can tap into that, and you can literally use it to check identity and fraud, etc. So this is extremely doable. And what an API is just basically a method of an app talking to a service. That's the boiled down version, very simple. Build it, get free users, test it, get feedback, make improvements. Once people are happy with it, once people are using it regularly, then they're going to need it. And then once they need it, that's when you can start charging for it. Okay. You can still have a free tier. You can offer a really good on-ramp for people. You can do upsells and different things like that. But that's where you can start charging that $9, $10 a month. Or if you're doing it for realtors, for them to get a pre-qualified lead, well, look at what they're spending for a real estate lead. These are different providers. $189 plus 30 to 50 per lead. That's monthly plus that. Okay? So I'm not saying go head to head with them, but there's good money in that. $300 a month, $12 to $17 a lead. You got to spend at least $400. These guys are $900 a month, $50, $150. So you can see the pricing here is kind of all over the place. But if you're getting $50 a lead, well, then think about it in terms of a month. How many leads could you get somebody in a month that you could filter out for them? If you're doing 100 of those, that's where you could start making some decent money with this idea. But you have to start with what you know, and you have to start right now because time is a ticking. So if you guys want these notes, head over to mattmakesmoney.com. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're building anything because I'm interested. Catch you soon.